Hello everybody! Today is March 24th, 2015. Got the news on here. I'm just so sorry about the airline crash in the south of France. I'm sorry for the German aircraft company, and I'm so sorry for the people on board. Being a pilot, knowing what an Airbus is, one of the few people who experienced enough to say that, and knowing what's going on in the world today, I have to say this thing was subverted somehow or shot down. It just didn't crash, folks. It was not an accident. And we need to find out who did it, and we need to hold them accountable. And I mean, we need to put some people in jail over this. We have 150 dead people. That's going to be 150 people in jail for life. Now, I have a couple of ideas how this could have happened. We have a whole pile of NATO vehicles coming up from Spain and Portugal and the south, the western side of Europe, and they're coming up to reinforce the defensive lines that border between Russia and Western Europe. And I think that, and they said they were going to be doing the trip overland a couple of days ago, and they said it was 1,000 miles. So I have just a bad gut feeling that one of these yahoos, or perhaps one of the ships offshore, was tracking the plane and pushed the wrong button, maybe as a simulation or as a practice or a drill or whatever, and the missile just fired, and then the missile just tracked and did what it was supposed to do and shot the plane down. Now that's no consolation for the people on board, but that plane did not shoot itself down, and I just don't see how or what reason there would be for anyone like the Russians to have shot it down. There would be no reason whatsoever for that. Just as the MH17, the Russians didn't shoot that down either. I reached my own conclusion on that, and if anybody wants to challenge me, go ahead, but you have no evidence proving that I'm wrong, so I'm going to declare that I'm correct, and that the thing was shot down by Kiev and the monsters behind that. So I believe it was shot down as an air-to-air missile, and it's funny how all this time has gone by and we still don't have a report as to who shot the thing down. I find it awful hard to believe. They could easily wipe that plane down. They could see right away what kind of explosives on it, and they could test the missiles that were typically on those aircraft, the ones that were missing when that fighter jet came back, and they could tell right away what kind of explosive it was, and they could tell what blew it up or shot it down. In any case, it shouldn't take this long. Someone's dragging their feet, and also the way the whole thing, the whole scheme, the RICO violation is set up seems to be that you've got 4 countries, including the country that's implicated as one who's doing it. If any one of them says they don't want the results released, and the whole thing stays secret, I mean, what kind of bullshit is this? This whole thing is bullshit. The world is going insane. Now, I want to talk for just a minute about the people in the United States and the news that we're being fed every day on the TV. Folks, I disconnected my cable, but I know it's on cable TV because I can turn my computer on and I can watch what would be on my cable if I had my cable plugged in. But I get my news through the internet. And I talk to people overseas, and I watch YouTube videos. I get my information directly from what I see and what I hear and reports, and I simply will not believe a Fox News corporate news outlet that is allowed to and is ordered to directly lie and propagandize the American people, because I can talk to many people on the street, and they have no idea where the Ukraine is, other than they think that Russia is bad, 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 and they're invading the Ukraine. They know nothing about the Ukraine. They know nothing about the history of the Ukraine. They know nothing about the language that the Ukrainians speak. They don't know what the Ukrainians do. They don't know what the land mass looks like. They couldn't find it on a map. I mean, I'm talking about people who graduated high school, even people who graduated college without the computer in front of them. They couldn't find it. And if you ask them without looking at the computer, they wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it, other than they're going to say Vladimir Putin is bad, Vladimir Putin is bad. And I did see the article today about the Danes wanting to launch their own frigate and put it into the water. I don't know if they wanted to launch it to the north or bring it around to the Black Sea, but either way, Vladimir Putin said, well, then it would become a legitimate target and it could become subject of a nuclear attack. And we may have to attack the ship. Well, all of our ships are subject to a nuclear attack. Everybody knows that. All persons who are sailors in the Navy know that they could come under attack at any time, both with conventional weapons, torpedoes, or nuclear weapons could be fired at any substantial ship. So Vladimir Putin, I do not fault you at all. I mean, it looks to me, and I think I'm one of the few people that fully understands what's going on here, and I have no axe to grind. I don't work for the Congress of the United States. I haven't signed or sworn to any oath. I'm simply an independent businessman watching what's happening in the world, and I think I have half a smart brain, and if I were you, I'd be doing the same thing. No, I just want to say one thing. The American people are unaware of what's happening, other than the Americans who were ordered to go to the Ukraine to fight for Poroshenko and Kiev, or train them under working for the army, or if maybe they were stuck on a Navy ship or something. But I'm sure many of them don't even know, nor were they told the truth, because the propaganda over here is flying and the truth is not coming out, and the American people do not know what is going on over there, and they are just going to be sent to, I'm afraid, fight on territory that is close enough to Russia that I would say Russia's got the home field advantage. And moreover, they're fighting for a cause that win, lose, or draw, it's not going to make any difference to us over here. I don't see why they don't just say the truth. But our country has been hijacked by the New World Order or by rich oligarchs. I don't know who, but there are forces working in the background, and the people of the United States are good people, and they simply don't know what's going on. And I fear that if something should happen in the Ukraine and the nukes start flying, that the poor people in the United States who know not what's happening will end up being the victims of these terrible weapons when they don't know what's going on. The government has not declared war. The congressman has not said anything about there being a war, but there are small wars and skirmishes, or whatever you want to call them, all over the world, and the people here are not being told anything, and they know nothing, and they go about their work every day. And I'm pleading with you not to fire nukes at the United States. Civilian population, they do not know anything. I promise you, they don't know anything. Now, on the other hand, I would like to become in a position of power someday, but I'm not a rich oligarch, and therefore I'm not in on the RICO violation that they've got going here, the racketeering and conspiracy, or whatever it's called. But I would like to put a stop to it and restore our Constitution and eliminate these laws that say that the government of the United States is allowed to lie to the people or propagandize or not tell the truth or the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and let the sun shine in so that we know what they're doing. After all, our taxes have to pay for this, and the American people do not want this and do not need this, and we're not in a position financially to support this kind of activity. And I'm not really sure what these wealthy oligarchs who are running our country, who are absolute madmen, are trying to get out of it. But please, I ask you to punish the peoples of the United States, the civilian population centers or cities, because I tell you, they do not know what they do. The people do not know what's happening. They do not understand. They don't know you. They haven't met you. I've read your whole life story. I read all about how you became the president. I would like to rise to power like as you. If I could hire you as my mentor, I would. I feel that by watching the things that you've done and the accomplishments that you've made in Russia and bringing Russia from the Soviet days with Gorbachev, and then suddenly having a free and open Russia, that you've done the best that any human being could do, and that there is no one that could have done a better job than you. And all the people here in the United States, the civilians, all they know is Putin is evil, Putin is bad, and somehow you are some kind of devil, or that Putin is some kind of devil or evil man or something. That's simply not true. If I'm in power, if I could gain power, I promise there would be peace between us, and there would be no more of this United States telling Ukraine what to do and the United States telling the rest of the world what to do. I fully understand that people have their own way of doing things. They have their own desires and their own will, and they want to do things their way, and they want to have their own government. They don't want to have our secret agents over there telling them what to do and running operations that are false and misleading and lying even to foreign governments and making it appear that they're under attack when maybe they're not, and then offering the solution. As I said in my prior show, that's what they like to do. They like to cause trouble, and then they like to provide a solution and somehow make money off the solution. And but I think they're at this point meddling in the affairs of other countries is just too much, and especially meddling in the affairs of a superpower like Russia. We kind of have a throwback to the days when I was a child and when you were a child, when we had to worry about mutual assured destruction, and those fears went away until recently. Now they're coming back again, and I don't like it one little bit. I don't want the earth to be ruined. I don't want people to die needlessly, but I definitely don't want the earth to be ruined, because if there is a nuclear exchange, the earth would be ruined forever for our children, for everybody, and there would be no earth. And the earth is a planet that is floating in the universe, surrounded by nothing but vacuum. For as far as we know, there is no other planet that we know that supports life. If anything happens to the earth, we are all here. It's like we're on a spaceship together and we're going to blow it up. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't add up. It makes no sense whatsoever. Now, I pledge my honor to my country, but in pledging my honor to my country and in restoring my Constitution, I also pledge that I will do everything I can to bring peace and harmony between our people. And this will stop. So help me God, I will stop it. Now we have other people that want to run for president. Yesterday Ted Cruz made an announcement he wants to run for president. Well, he's been in power. What has he done? He's signed off on the NDAA and these other things and probably never read them. And Rand Paul and his father, Ron Paul, they want to end the Fed. Okay, maybe that's a noble thing. I'm not saying end the Fed. I think we need to look into it. But on the other hand, I mean, these are hawkish Republicans, and that they just want to make money on having war and spreading war. And I'm not going to say anything bad about them, because it could be wrong. They might have changed their mind. Maybe they have second thoughts. And I think if the missiles start flying, they're going to have second thoughts really fast. But I do know they're going to run into their holes in the ground they already have dug, and we don't have any hole in the ground to run into. And it's not going to make any difference anyway, because when the earth is ruined, it's going to be ruined for everybody, and they're not going to ever be able to come out of their rat hole. And that's what these people are. They're rats. They're dirty rats for not telling us exactly what they're doing, and they're dirty rats for wasting taxpayer money while we have people here that are sick and can't get their medicine. We have people here that are elderly and they have medical needs, and they could be taken care of, and they could live a happy life and not have to worry about early death from an atomic warfare, or warfare from conventional means, or warfare that puts all of our resources into developing new and more modern ways to kill and maim and injure and damage the soil and ruin the earth and kill as many people as possible as fast as possible. To what end? For what reason? I just don't understand it. But I have watched many of your I have read your biography. I'm fully aware of who you are, where you came from, and I've studied you. I'm sorry I don't understand Russian, Mr. Putin, but I promise you that if we could meet, I'm sure we could be friends, good friends, and that we could put a stop to this for the sake of the earth, for the sake of all mankind. People must have the right to self-determination. You're right. It is in the UN Charter. I read it myself. It's there. I was at the UN as a 10-year-old boy. I told you I won a sales contest and went to the UN. My wife spoke at the UN. She won a speaking contest. People do have a right to self-determination. The people in the Crimea did vote that they wanted to go back and become part of Russia, as they were prior part of the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union. And you so nobly left them to their own devices so that they could make up their own mind. Well, they had plenty of time to think about it, and then now they've decided that they want to come back to Russia. They tried it the other way, and they didn't like it, and now they want to come back to Russia. And they voted. It was a fair vote. And for the United States and the NATO countries and the EU to say that they can't vote, while at the same time trying to say they promote democracy around the world, is a farce. I don't know why they lie like they do, but they lie. They're allowed to lie. They put it right into the law. The National Defense Authorization Act, signed in 2012 by Barack Obama, says that the government is allowed to lie, and they are lying to the people. And the people of the United States do not know what's happening in the Ukraine. Please don't blame the civilian population of the United States for what is happening over there. As far as I'm concerned, the Crimea belongs to you fully. I hope you enjoy it, and I wish someday to be invited to come to see you and meet and to come to the Crimea and to vacation there. I'd like to sail there in a sailboat or fly in. But either way, I would like to come to the Crimea. I would like to come to Moscow to see your great country. And perhaps one day, as leaders, we could meet. But I promise you cooperation, full cooperation, and not hostility. No hostility at all. I promise you, deep in my heart and my soul and forevermore, that you will get nothing from me except the truth from the people of the United States, who only want peace and want to be left alone. They want the government to leave them alone, and they don't want to be in a war zone. The people in the United States don't even know they're in a war zone. The people in the United States right now, Mr. Putin, are being poisoned by fluoride in water. Now, fluoride is a heavy metal, and they put it in our water. And when you drink it, it makes you really, really tired. And it makes you not be able to think straight. And it's in everyone's water, and It's so insidious that even a filter now, the modern kind of fluoride, even a filter will not, a carbon filter will not take it out of the water. I drink bottled water, that's how I avoid it. And ever since I started drinking bottled water, I've been able to have more energy, and I've been able to think better and clearer and understand what's going on in the world. When I was young and growing up and taking history and social studies in school many years ago, I'm 60 years old, I was taught that the Ukraine belonged to the Soviet Union, and it in fact was what they called the breadbasket of the Soviet Union, just like our middle states are the breadbasket of the United States. To me, it's a no-brainer that the Ukraine belonged to the Soviet Union. Now the Soviet Union is called Russia, the Russian Federation. Now, if these people want to become Russian again, I don't see why the United States should have an objection when we are literally on the other side of the earth. I fully believe with the fluoride that the people are forced to drink in the United States, and that it's in the food, and any kind of, if they were to make pancakes or to make a cake or any kind of recipe that needs water, they would take the water from the tap and put it into the food, and even though they weren't drinking the water, they would be getting a dose of fluoride, heavy metal. It would be making their brain dumber and dumber, and it would be as if they were on a drug. And it makes, and then between that and the lying on the television, the American people are not responsible for this. They have no idea what's happening. They don't know who they're voting for. All they know is there are two people, a Republican and a Democrat, on the television, and they go to vote for one or the other. One's, the Democrats are going to say they're for the little guy, and the Republicans are going to say we want to lower taxes. Well, everybody is for the little guy, and everybody wants to lower taxes, so who do you vote for? I guess they're going to vote for the person who's more handsome. I propose to run as an independent, or if the GOP will have me, I'll try to run as a GOP and try to make some sense. But I can tell you that the people in Congress are war hawks. They are backing Benjamin Netanyahu, who even the Israelis themselves are having second thoughts of because of the bombardment, the recent bombardment of the Gaza and the Palestinians with their semi-nuclear cannon shells. They were shooting at the UN school. They killed over 100 teachers and children in the UN school. And even though they knew they were hitting the school, they kept firing at it. I mean, I'm not against the Israeli people, but I think that they also are being lied to. And as much as they protest, I don't know, maybe the election is rigged. But there are forces that are beyond the control of the average person. Now, there are forces in the United States that are in control, and we cannot protest here. If we protest, the police will shoot us. In order for us to have a protest in the street, we have to have a permit. And to buy a permit, you have to pay a lot of money, and you have to buy the right to have a demonstration, which would really mean nothing because the news would not cover it. They're ordered to not cover it. So it wouldn't be in the news anyway, and you would risk being shot because the police would point high-power assault rifles at you, and the people just are not equipped to fight back, and they're not willing to die. And moreover, they're drugged, and they walk around in a stupor as if they are zombies because they are taking fluoride in the water. They are being sprayed from the air with chemtrails. It's been proven that we have powderized aluminum coming out of the back of the airplanes, and barium, which is affecting our brain and our ability to think straight and sapping our energy away from us and sapping away our life. Not to mention now that Fukushima is causing problems. The radiation from the Fukushima, unfortunately, is blowing straight across the Pacific Ocean right over us, and many of our friends have died. Those who are weak have died from the increases in the background radiation right here. My own father being one of them. He was not ready to die. He was an elderly man, but I think that Fukushima and the radiation put him over the edge. And my Uncle Rudy died too at about the same time. Other friends of mine also died recently. We know many people that died. The death rate has gone off the charts. You should see the obituaries in the newspaper over the last several years since Fukushima blew. It's higher than ever. The American people are not of sound mind. They knoweth not what they do. Do not punish the American people for what happens over there. I suggest if anything bad happens over there, you do the best you can to defend your homeland from the people who are over there. The people who are directly fighting you, perhaps they need to be taught a lesson. But the people in the United States and the continental United States and civilians, they're sick. They don't know what's happening. Right now I need help. I can run for president right now. I'm not drinking the fluoride water. I know the truth. I have a friend who lives in the Ukraine. I've spoken to him. I know what's going on over there. I watch the internet and I've seen the clips, and I'm trying hard as I can to learn your language. It's hard for me, but I watch it. I stay up all night worrying about it. And I'm very angry that our country has got its saber rattling right at your doorstep, and I am so sorry. I promise you would not happen if I were in charge. I need money so that I can run a campaign. I have many, many sales awards. I've shown before. My parents come from Italy, my great parents. I was born in the U.S., so I'm perfectly qualified to be the President of the United States. Look at all of these sales awards. Here I am sailing a sailboat, but each one of these represents being the top salesman of a 100-man sales team for a month. I won 11 of them, and I only worked there for a couple of years. One year I was a manager, wasn't eligible for sales awards. I was coaching the other people. And it's going to take a good salesman to sell myself, and to sell myself to be voted in as the president or as a person in charge high enough that I could do something about it. The people that are running for president right now, so far that have announced they want to run, are senators and congressmen. And they are the ones who have signed troublesome legislation and have listened and cheered as Benjamin Netanyahu came over here. And if you vote them in, it'll be more of the same old thing. And I have urged everyone who's watched my show, do not vote for the same person. They may be good in heart, but they have done wrong. We need a complete flushing of the toilet 10 times. No one who is in power now can be allowed to be voted back into power in the United States. They must all go, every single one of them. We have people here in the United States that drink bottled water and that are smart enough to run. Under my tutelage, I can explain to them about the Ukraine and how it works, and that people have the right to self-determination. I know the Constitution. We're not getting our fair share of the Constitution. Yesterday, Ted Cruz said, we want our liberty back. We want our liberty back. Yes, it's more than just our liberty back. We're being lied to. It's more than just our liberty. We have a government that flat out lies to us and is attacking other countries and seems to be in some kind of a war for, like that James Bond movie where they were playing the game, a war for control of the earth, ownership of the earth. And if you put your hands in the machine and the globe is there, you've seen the movie, and if you lose, you get electrocuted. And the bigger property you lose, the more the electricity hits you. And it was a James Bond movie. Perhaps you haven't seen it, you should watch it. But it seems like that's what's happening. A war of the world, so to speak, a war for the world. Now in the United States we have a Department of Customs. We have a Department of Customs, and we've had it a long time. We have a Department of Customs because in the United States we've always recognized that people in other countries have different customs, and they think differently, and they do different things, and they want to live a different way. They don't want to be Americanized, and if they did, they'd ask to be Americanized. Even Puerto Rico, we tried to ask Puerto Rico if they wanted to become a state, and they voted. Bottom line is they're not a state. They didn't want to be a state. They wanted to be like a protectorate, but they're not a state of the United States. They're a protectorate, but they're not a state. When push came to shove, they said they didn't want to be a state. I mean, the people in Washington would be hysterical if you moved your missiles into Cuba and you moved your missiles into Mexico and made a deal with the Mexicans. They would be hysterical, and yet the United States puts their missiles in Poland and names them straight at Russia and said, well, they're really aimed at Iran. Well, Iran never ever did anything bad to us that I can remember. I don't see where they did anything bad to us. I do know that we installed the Shah of Iran, or at least the British did. We've corrupted their government. And now I understand that you've struck a deal with them to build, I think, 12 nuclear reactors. Well, good for you. And now there's a big argument, and the people in the United States in the news here are being told that Ambassador Kerry cannot have is having trouble getting the Iranians to accept a deal to have nuclear plants built by the United States or controlled by the United States or delayed in some way for 10 years by the United States, when in fact you've gone to Iran and said you'll start building right away and we'll build 12 of them. Well, that really pissed them off. Oh yeah. But see, they didn't tell the people of the United States why. Now the people of the United States are thinking Iran is bad, and Benjamin Netanyahu is saying they want to build a nuclear missile to come and get us, they want to build a nuclear bomb to come and get us. So you see, they take what is happening and they turn it into a truth that somehow vilifies an unvilifiable person. Now, their religion may be different, but that would be, to me, a custom thing. And if that's the way they want to live, that's fine. And even if they were to build a nuclear bomb or a nuclear missile, it would be the same thing as you having a nuclear missile. And what difference would it make? You can't use it. If you use it and the country you use it against retaliates, you'll have mutual assured destruction. Now, I'm not agreeable to. I don't think that these nuclear plants even should be built. I think that solar and wind should be pursued. But in any case, until we're ready to do that, the nuclear option for power generation is probably the best way to go. But I also want to congratulate you on your recent treaty with Cyprus, that you now have an official signed document that you can harbor your ships in Cyprus. And I thank you so much for helping Greece, because Greece was being taken advantage of by the IMF, based in Washington. These are the same old oligarchs, as you know, going around and around and around. Instead of calling themselves the Federal Reserve, they invented a new name and they call it the IMF. Miss Lagarde is running it. I guess they put a French woman in there and make it look like America wasn't in control. But we all know what's going on here. I don't know if you can do anything to help me, and I'm probably not allowed to ask you to help me, but I'm only saying that if there was some way that somehow that we could work together, if there was something that you could do, I would be amenable to meeting one of your business associates purely as business, because I'm a businessman, and I think as a businessman to a businessman through that person, then we could have some sort of dialogue. But I promise to treat you right, and we'll be best of friends. I feel I know you, I studied you, and I trust you. And I trust you believe what I'm saying. I swear to you, it is the truth. You are fighting an evil bunch of oligarchs from the United States who are too afraid to go and do the fighting on their own. They're sending young children to fight in their name, to fight someone who they say is bad, and they have no other source of information other than the brainwashing they're taking and the money they're being paid, which is a lot, to go to the Ukraine and to fight West versus East. For this is ridiculous. I do suggest, however, if you are going to help the people of East Ukraine, that you just, if it comes to blows, I think that I would just make sure that I roll my tanks all the way over to the past Kiev, all the way up to Germany, and then I would say, you know, we used to have half of Germany too, up to Berlin. Now should we stop here or keep going to Berlin? That's what you need to do, Mr. Putin. If they want to put the wall back up, you put the wall back up on Berlin. And you see how Angela Merkel likes that. She'll change her mind real fast and she won't want to back NATO. And as far as Greece goes, help Greece. They're good people. They got a raw deal. They were taken into the EU, and there is no way for those people to make money. There's no industry. There's no job. They shouldn't be offered loans, because when they're offered big loans, then it holds the cost of goods high, because the oligarchs and the people who have access to the funds get the money, and they therefore are able to buy goods, while the other people who do not have jobs and cannot get access to the money have no way to live. So they either work for the government and they draw a big salary in comparison to someone who has no job. I'm not saying a government employee makes a lot of money, but I'm saying compared to someone without a job, they have an infinitely more money to pay their expenses, and they have a pension and they have benefits, and everyone else is left with nothing. It would be better if they were cut off totally. But you're doing the right thing with the food. Let Greece sell you food. The other EU countries will get jealous, because you'll be buying food from Greece. You'll be helping Greece, while at the same time disassembling the EU, one piece at a time. And these weapons have got to be turned around and placed far apart. We shouldn't be aiming guns and cannons and atomic weapons at each other. Your idea to place nuclear subs at the North Pole is exactly what I would do as a captain. That's what I would do. You did the right thing. Now our intelligence officers know that we have nuclear weapons aimed straight over Canada from the North Pole, straight at us. It's the only thing that they understand is force. But please don't fire, because the people of the United States don't know. They knoweth not what they do. Even our top brass commanders know that this whole thing is ridiculous. And many of them have been terminated by Obama for not pushing the red button, because they had several tests in the last several years where they were not told that it was just a test, and they were told to push the atomic button to launch atomic weapons against you, and they didn't do it. and they were fired. And then they made up a story about them being mentally ill or something, or having something wrong with them, and that there was a fault of some kind and they were disobeying orders. Well, disobeying an illegal order is a legitimate a moral thing to do. You're not supposed to obey an illegal order. All soldiers know that illegal orders are not to be obeyed. But these high-up officials were terminated for not pushing buttons that would have launched atomic weapons at Russia for a first strike. Thank God they disobeyed orders. Otherwise, we may already have destroyed the earth over, and we may all be dead, and the earth ruined forever. It would just be a rock floating through outer space. What was a beautiful blue planet floating in outer space, trillions of miles from anywhere, floating in the cold vacuum of space. Then just a radioactive lump of dead life. Maybe someday aliens will come to the earth and they will say they destroyed themselves. How stupid they were. What a beautiful planet they had. Why did they do it? What were they fighting over? Nothing. They went from being the best of friends to killing each other. Why? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm of Italian genes. From what I've seen of you, Mr. Putin, I want to meet you, and I am looking forward to it. I invite you to the White House should I make it. I would welcome an invitation to come to Moscow even before any time I would come if you invited me to meet with you. If there's anything you could do to help me, if anything I could do to help you, I will. Because I don't care anymore about these crazy people. I would come as a business person to do business with one of your businesses. Not a violation of any act or Logan Act or anything like that. But we could still arrange to talk enough that we could understand each other. And I need help, sir. And if you want help from me, please reach out and take my hand. I give it to you. For the sake of all the peoples of the world. And now I'm talking to the Americans. Don't vote the same people back in power. Do not vote for Cruz or Ron Paul or Rand Paul or anyone who's in power now. Let's call it a strike, if you will. A strike against voting for anyone who is in office now cannot be voted back in. It must be someone new. Perhaps I could be put on as a guest on Russian television. There must be something that can be done. I have to get in front of the people. I have to have someone to build a website for me. I can sell myself and my ideas. I know what's going on around the world. I have a good feeling for what's going on in the Middle East. I know what's going on down there. I have a bad feeling that this whole Ukraine thing is just to keep you away from what meddling is being done by us in Iraq and Africa and the Middle East. And I think that that whole Ukrainian thing is just a sideshow to keep your forces tied up while we do other things. That's what I think. Call me stupid, I don't know, but I've been in the insurance business for 4 decades. I know a false insurance claim, and I know a liar when I see one. I can see right through. I can tell when someone's lying. I have a feeling in my soul, in my mind, in my heart. I can look you in the eye and tell you if you're lying. You know, I used to be able to insure people, and I knew when I was insuring them that if they were going to be a problem or not, as I filled in the paperwork. And I know you are not a problem. You are the solution. And I'm asking the people of the United States, vote for me if you want peace. If you want mutual assured destruction, then you just go ahead and vote for the same old people and keep drinking fluoride water. I'm going to ban fluoride in the water. If you want fluoride in the water, then it'll be available in the store and you can put it in. It'll be an eyedropper and it'll say poison on it, and you can drop it in yourself, but it will not be put into the water by the water company. And then if you want to poison yourself, you can add it yourself and you can pay for it at the store. The American people are ill. They're sick. They've been poisoned. Our skies are full of contrails of aluminum and barium that is interfering with the way we think and the energy level that we have and our memories. As I told you, you can walk down the street right now and ask anyone on my street, and I live in a pretty nice neighborhood, although there's some crime here, but you could ask anyone where the Ukraine is and they wouldn't know. You could ask anyone who Vladimir Putin is, and half of them would know, and the ones who know would say he's bad and evil, not knowing the truth of anything. Just believing the crap they hear on the TV, which is all propaganda. It's propaganda beyond belief. I have a good chance of winning this thing because I have no baggage. 40 years insurance adjuster, I have securities licenses, and I have the highest level real estate broker's license and was the youngest broker in the state of New Jersey. I handled 2,000 insurance claims, disaster claims, where people were blown completely out of their house and was able to recover enough money to put them back together again in their homes. And they're satisfied with my services. Not everyone, but almost everyone that I dealt with is happy with me. I have no criminal record, although I fear my government may get angry because I am trying to and pleading with you and anyone who can help me make peace. Because without peace, we're gonna blow this earth up. And the horror of it is going to be something that no one knows about. And they're gonna, when they find out, they're going to be in a drug stupor from the fluoride, but when they find out how terrible it is, they'll come out of their drug stupor and they're going to say, what happened? That bad man from Russia did this. No, he didn't. All it is some people who wanted freedom, and they wanted the same rights as we have in our own Constitution. You know, I told my girlfriend at a very young age, I said, someday the United States will become more like the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union will be more like the United States. Go back and ask her. I'll give you her name when I meet you. You can call her. I'm reaching my hand out to you, American people, and I'm reaching my hand out to foreigners. Trust in me. Help me. I will work hard. I promise. Shaking your hand. I know you to be an honest man. And I know you've had your ups and downs, and so have I. But we cannot let the Earth perish from the universe. There may not be another planet like Earth anywhere in the universe. This might be it. God may have only made one Earth. If you believe in God. I believe in God. I believe in a supreme being. I don't know what he looks like. Sometimes I feel like I have vibes in me that are telling me that I have to do what I have to do. Like I said, I could get in a sailboat and I could sail away and never come back and live in a nice place in the southern hemisphere and just not worry about this. But something is telling me that I'm the only one that understands what's going on here to the extent that it can be fixed. And I'm the only one that has this, that has all these awards that can sell myself and to explain to everyone that we're on the wrong course. The Constitution must be restored. Mr. Putin, please. Please help me. I give you my word. We will be friends, not enemies. I will not push NATO to your doorstep. I will pull back. You can have the entire Ukraine. Let them vote. Whatever they say, that goes. You have my hand on this. There will be no war. I will not fire any missiles at you. I will pull my missiles back. They will be pulled back. For we cannot allow this war to start. Tonight I will be up all night again watching the internet and watching the videos of the people fighting right now in Donetsk and the coming battle that may happen in Mariupol as NATO forces try to land in from the Black Sea. If I were them, I think I would be landing to the west of Mariupol and try to push inland from there, eyes open. The American people know not what they do. This message is for you, American people. Stop taking the fluoride water. Switch to bottled water. Stop watching the television. Watch YouTube and watch what's happening in the Ukraine and learn all about Vladimir Putin. And you will find out a lot of things that you didn't know before. Read about the World War II and how the Nazis killed 30 million Russians. I'm surprised that the Russians pulled back after World War II when they dropped the wall. I don't know if I'd have given Germany back if I were a Russian back in those days, but you did. You've proven your honesty and your goodness, and you forgave. I've watched your men fight, and I've listened to them talk, and I'm trying to learn Russian as I watch them and hear them talk with the subtitles. But your men look like they're fighting for what is, in my view, right. They voted, the Duma voted, and you signed and accepted. And I know the Duma gave you the authority to push the button if you have to fire nuclear weapons. I once again ask you, please, don't let this escalate. And I fear and I hope to God that we don't start something that you have to retaliate to. But in any case, don't let it come to the American continent. If it has to happen, keep it local. because the American people here, they're sick. They don't know. They're very, very sick. They're sicker than you can think. Many of them have thyroid problems too because of the Fukushima. I have to take a pill every day or I'll die because my thyroid was damaged beyond repair. I had to have radiotherapy in it to kill my thyroid. That's how bad the radiation was here, but we were not warned that the radiation was coming from Fukushima when the blast and that terrible situation happened over there. And I have my doubts that that was even a natural disaster. Now, I don't want you to think I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I understand that there are natural disasters, especially earthquakes over there, but Mr. Putin, I'm going to, and everyone, you may call me or have someone that you know call me. I will speak to anyone. Maybe you could send over a man to represent one of your companies or a woman, and we can talk indirectly. And perhaps you could help me. I'm trying to save the earth. I'm trying to save the will of man and to allow the people their UN rights to self-determination. Because my country is sick and I'm asking for help and I don't know who to go to. But I trust you. I really do. And I've investigated. And like I said, I've been in the insurance business for 40 years. I'm a good investigator. And I'm asking you to help. And it can make the difference for the entire earth, what you do. We can't let any of the existing people who are in the Congress and in the Senate to run for president and get in again. Please help me. I can beat these people. I know I can with some help. I can beat them. Now, the way I see it, the United States helps other presidents get in power in other countries all the time. And I think that you could lend me a hand here because it's going to be the only way, or we might all end up dead. Peace. I offer you peace, friendship. You have my word. And my word you can take to the bank. And you will have free banking with the United States. There won't be any embargoes on food or anything with us. I won't go for that bullshit. Thank you for listening. It's all right. Thank you. Thank you, fellow Americans. Amen. And have a nice night.